Satnam aloha, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. And you can put your name and where you're logging in from if you want to. Let me just get the comments up here. It's a little bit of a late start getting everything together. Okay, so welcome to the live stream, and this is on the second sutra of this great age of awakening that we're in. And preparing for the age of Aquarius. So there's 5 sutras, and one of this, Patanjali is the father of yoga. There's 195 sutras, like holy complexity. So Aquarian age is really reducing that to 5, right? 5 sutras. So sutras are like knots. They're knots, and they hold profound spiritual teachings. And I talked about this in the first Sutra to Awakening, and it's about reducing the teaching to protect it too, because there's spiritual conquerors throughout our history of humanity that have done their best to try to destroy spiritual knowledge, burning libraries, burning books, things like that. So the sutra was short enough for the student to remember, but they were often like riddles, and you would need a spiritual teacher to help basically unpack the sutra so that the person can understand. So these are profound spiritual laws, and these can really help us through this great transition into the age of Aquarius. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Where do I want to start first? I think right here. There we go. Is that me or is that blurry? That looks awfully blurry. I know I don't have my glasses on, but... Okay, let's see here. My computer's been acting up a little bit. Okay. Oh, I know what it is. It's probably locked. Is it locked? No. Man, the zodiac. Just bear with me because I want you to see the image. Okay. Okay. It's me again. Me and the zodiac. Me and the images. Oh, I bet it's because of this. Yeah. Okay, well, let's just start with this. This is where the divine is leading us anyway, too. Let's get back to me. So basically, this channel is about astrology and shadow and emotional. It's very spiritual, right? You know that if you've been following me for a while. That's what I'm all about. So human design is really the future of astrology because it describes us as enlightened beings. That's where we're headed. So it's really future-oriented, this system. So it's basically the science of differentiation, and it's about you learning to accept yourself and how you're designed. It's very, very accurate, this system. Came through in 1987, the harmonic convergence. And so it describes, I mean, I could go on and on about the system, but for the purposes here, and it's all going to tie into the sutra, so stick with me, is there's basically 5 aura types according to human design. So the aura is the electromagnetic field that surrounds each person, even animals, and in 9 feet in every direction is a healthy aura. So that's our electromagnetic field. And so there's actually 5 different types, and it's according to your birth data, and that's what I talk about in my recorded readings. And if you don't want to do that, you can go to jovionarchive.com. I always have a link in the information box and get your free chart. So basically there's generators, called their generators, that's 70% of the world, and they're here to respond. They're here to respond to life with a yes or no from their navel. So remember, in this great age of Aquarius, we're moving from giving our authority to our mind, right? Having our mind make our decisions for us, right? We're moving out of this mental awareness system into a solar plexus awareness system. But you're designed in particular to operate a particular way. So generators and manifesting generators, that's like 70% of the world. They respond with their navel. So they attract everything to them, and then they respond with a yes or no. And the navel is their strategy, and that shows them what's correct for them or not, right? According to the yes or the no. So that's one type. And if they're not operating correctly, they're going to feel frustrated. They're going to feel frustrated. And when they're operating correctly as themselves, then they feel satisfied, right? They feel fulfilled. And so work is really important for the generators and manifesting generators. And then you've got the reflectors, and the reflectors have to actually go through a whole moon cycle to make their decisions. And so the reflectors like, oh my God, that's not going to work, right? To wait a whole month. Well, if it's correct for you, those people will wait for you. If you get invited, say to a career or not invited because that's the projector, but an opportunity comes to you, they're going to wait for you, right? If it's correct for you. So they're here to be surprised. When they're operating correctly, they're surprised. And when they're not, they're disappointed, right? Disappointment after disappointment. And then there's the manifestors, and that's only 10% of the world. And they're here to initiate. So they're here to initiate. So how they work is they get a divine inspiration that comes to them, and then they inform. So they tell people what they're up to, and then they initiate. So when they're operating correctly, they're at peace. The manifestor just wants to be at peace, right? And when they're not, they're angry or depressed. That's a sign that the manifestor's not operating correctly as themselves. So for an example of that would be, the manifestor gets a divine inspirational thought. I should start up a business, a particular business. Well, they share with their friends, who are usually generators, because statistically they're going to have generators around them. Hey, I'm thinking of doing this idea. This is what I'm going to do. And the generators are, yeah, go for it. That's an awesome idea. And then they initiate, and then all the support comes to them. And then they manifest their divine inspiration. And then there's the projectors. I'm a projector, and we need to be invited. So we have to be recognized for who we are, our essence, and then we're invited. And we're here to guide. So if we're not operating correctly, we're going to feel bitter. Every projector knows that bitterness, and when they're feeling, when they're operating correctly, they're going to feel successful. They're successful. So just with the projectors, I just want to go over this quickly, because the projectors are really the new leaders of the Aquarian age, because we're servant leaders, is, in terms of a relationship, there's a big invitation. Some people get fanatical about a system, and there's like, oh, I'm not going to be, if it's raining out, I need to be invited to come out of the rain. Like, that's silliness. It's big invitations. So say a relationship, right? The projector needs to be invited into a relationship. They can't initiate. Well, that person has to come to them and basically said, I'm into you. I'm really attracted to you. You're funny, and you're warm, and you're kind, and you're wise, whatever it is the projector's essence is, and I choose you. It's got to be that direct. I choose you. I want you. That's the invitation, and then the projector answers with yes or no, and it's like, yeah, I'm into you too. That's awesome. Let's do it, right? And this is when all the energy is operating correctly. And I look at, when we fight our types, I've been at this since 2004, and whenever I go against my type, waiting for the invitation, it just backfires. Things just backfire. And I think of the times that I felt the most successful, right? It's just everything energetically, smoothly operates, right? So I want to talk about, because what I'm really interested in is how all these types work, right? And it's going to tie into the sutra, so stick with me and make sure that you get your own type. This is the future, right? This is the future. Our old ways are going, like using our minds and getting strategic and logical about things, and going to the past for answers of how we should navigate through life. It's not going to work anymore. It's all about energy. It's all about frequency, and that's what human design really shows us. And it shows us that life, we're not here to suffer and work against ourselves, and we're not this homogenized blob, right, of boringness and blobness, where each one of us is unique, but we operate. So when you start to operate correctly, then life starts to get a lot smoother. So I'm just going to use a practical example here. So you may be familiar with this, how to start a movement. Have you seen this video? Okay, so I'm in QuickTime. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just play this really fast. Right, so it's basically somebody at a festival. It's the leadership lessons from the dancing guy. You may have seen this, it's pretty popular. Okay, so you can see there's the guy, he's dancing at a festival, he's all alone. Okay, all alone, and then people start joining him, just a couple at first, right, and then more join in, and then the 100th monkey hits in, right, more and more and more, until like there's a huge crowd dancing with this guy. So let's break it down in terms of human design. So who's this guy? Who do you think this guy is? Right? The manifester. So if we rewound, that's a word, right? Rewound. If we took this guy, this manifester, he was actually in the crowd. He's probably sitting in the crowd before he got to this point. He's sitting in the crowd. He's with his generator friends, because you're going to have mostly generators in your life. Just 70% of the world, they're going to be there, right? So he has a divine inspiration. I'm going to get everybody dancing. That's what I want to do. I'm going to get everybody dancing. So that's his divine inspiration that comes. This is the manifestor's got to come from the divine, right? That inspiration. It can't come from outside of him. Like somebody can't tell a manifestor, you should do this. The manifestor is going to completely repel that, right? If they're operating correctly. So he gets the divine inspiration. I'm going to get everybody dancing here, right? Let's get the party going, right? The divine inspiration. So what did he do? He gets the inspiration, tells his generator friends, I'm going to get everybody dancing, right? And then he initiates, right? So then he goes out and he's dancing. He's dancing. Dancing. Well, the generators start responding to his initiation. Maybe those friends say, yeah, I'm going to dance too. And they're responding with a yes from their navel, right? So more and more of them join in. And I think there's at one point, one of the guys is like calling over someone. So that would be the calling over. The inviting would be the projector, right? So there's more and more, because the projector is here to guide. So the projector sees the big picture, not just this little group. It can see, oh, there's a big group over there that's dancing. We should herd the people, right? Get them moving forward a little bit, and then we can join with this other group. And then the projector will see the other group over there, right? It's able to see the big picture, right? That's the projector that not generators and manifestors can't see. So the projector is guiding the energy. And then we got the reflector, which is probably the latecomer that comes in eventually. And then the the reflector comes in. And the reflector is what reflects the health of the group, the barometer. So the manifestor is the generator, and the projectors, like how are we doing? How's the health of the group, right? Well, some people they need water and they're dehydrated, and often the reflector will actually be the embodiment of what's going right or what's going wrong in the group. So often reflectors in school, they're like the trouble children. They seem like, oh, they're the bad seed, right? The bad apple in the basket. They're not. They're actually just expressing the health or unhealth of the group. So this is how we all work together. So you can see the problem is everybody, manifestors are trying to be generators, right? I'm not going to initiate. I'm going to wait for things to happen to me, right? Generators are trying to be manifestors. They're trying to initiate and start things, and it doesn't work for them. And the reflectors are trying to be generators, and then the projectors are trying to be anybody but themselves, right? Because it takes so much patience to wait for an invitation. So it's about trusting our aura, right? It's about trusting our aura that the projectors will attract that invitation, that the manifestors will have support if they initiate, right? So and generators will attract that thing to respond to with a yes or no, right? But we've been conditioned, right, to not be ourselves. So that's what I see in the future, is all of us working together, and like this system would be so amazing. Like projectors organize people too. That's what we do really, really well, and creates efficient use of energy. That's what the projectors are really good at. That we have these dream teams, right, in businesses and organizations, that where somebody isn't expected to be, well, you're a square and you've got to fit into this round hole. It's you work with the people, right? And so there's really a self-organizing principle at work, an underlying self-organizing principle at work that will bring us together in this way, and that will work efficiently. You see? Anyway, that kind of stuff excites me. Okay. So let me get out of here, and I think this will work better, yeah. And I'll get my chart. Oh, it's still kind of blurry, isn't it? Okay. I don't think it's a JPEG. I used an MPN. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, that's not. Okay. Oh, I know what it is. I had all this like perfect for you guys. Like when this happens. Okay. Let me just. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay, so this is let's do the 5 sutras just to put it in context. That's what projectors do really well, is put things in context. So these are the 5 Aquarian Age sutras, and there was no need for 195. Some say 196. Scholars say there's 196 sutras from Patanjali. You just need to do 5. So I'm going to be doing a video, a live stream on each one. So recognize the other person as you. Okay. There's a way through every block. That's the one we're going to do today. When the time is on, you start and the pressure will be off. And I did a video on that, the live stream. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. The first sutra of awakening. And then understand through compassion, or you'll misunderstand the times. Vibrate the cosmos. The cosmos will clear the path. So this one. So I'm going to explore this a little bit and then tie it into human design in the chart. Yeah. So there's a way through every block. So we have to remember that We live in a plane of duality. So wherever you find one thing, you're going to find its polarity. Okay? So when there's a question, there's always an answer. The question and answer, they're like little twins. Question and answer hold hands, right? So wherever you have a question, the answer is there. The answer is there. So wherever you have a block or a challenge in your life, that there's going to be a solution, right? There's going to be a solution, and it's going to be a creative solution. So what we do, because we're still in this paradigm of using our minds to like figure things out, because that's just the awareness system that most of the people are in. Well, the mind is the past, right? The mind is the past. So you're looking for a solution and you're going to your past. Well, this worked in the past, so I'll do this. Or my parents did this, or my educator said to do this, or the system says to do this, so I have to do this. And you're going back to the past. Your answers aren't there anymore. Like, we have to really let go of the past. This is a real thing. We have to let go of the past, and the mind is the past. So what we have to do now, because our challenges are becoming more and more extreme, right? Our challenges as a humanity, and probably in your life too, you're being faced with challenges maybe you haven't been faced with before, or the solutions aren't working anymore. So that's just a sign. It's a sign of the times that we're in right now, is that we have to be looking for creative solutions. So the first thing, so it's just to know, okay, there's a solution to this block. There's a solution to this challenge. I'm not going to get depressed. I'm not going to get anxious. I'm not going to go for an addiction. I'm going to not go in denial and pretend that it's not there, this challenge. Because these challenges, because that's really the block, they're about getting you to rise. Like, think of the times in your life where you've gone through like the greatest challenges in your life. You probably drew on strength deep inside you that you never knew you had, right? So it's, to me, it's like the fish, you know, those jumping fish that come out of the water in the lake. That's us through a challenge. It's that victory that we get through this challenge. So it's really, I mean, this time is really about building your character, right? Building your character and knowing who you are. And this is what you get to. It's like, oh, I'm faced with a challenge. There's a way through every block. That's one of the sutras. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out with my mind. So you go into the third option, right? There's usually, the mind is duality. So the mind is going to go, well, do this. And then it will go, well, do this, which is the opposite. So say you're in a relationship and it's like, it's not good. You know, you have to leave. Well, if I leave, then how am I going to support myself? Right? Where am I going to live? And where am I going to work? Where am I going to make money? Well, if I stay, I got the money and I have the support, but I'm miserable, right? It gets you in this between a rock and a hard place, and the mind goes back and forth, back and forth. This is the past, right? This is the past. You got to go third option. There's a way through this block. That's what a block is, right? Rock in a hard place. You got to go to the third option. You don't go horizontal. Time and space. In the Aquarian age, you go vertical. And vertical is frequency. So it's about getting your frequency high enough so that you can hear that your intuitive guidance, your divine inspiration. And it will just come, it will come out of the blue. If you just commit, there's a way through this challenge. Your soul and the divine, they doesn't want you miserable and suffering. These are just spiritual tests, right? We're all in a profound spiritual test in our own way, and especially the ones that are really committed to their spiritual journey and healing and all that stuff. You know, it's showing you the greater the challenge means the greater the power there is. And once it's also the age of experience. So we need to have the experience. And these challenges are what provide the experience, right? It's the stage that you're playing your lessons on. We need a stage, and we need actors, and we need set design and all that. That's all coming together so that you can learn a deep spiritual lesson. So you don't need to go through this again, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Those karmic people in your life, you think that you just met them, right? Those the karmic people that are like, they're part of this play that you're in, and they've been there for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. In Aquarian age, this is the time to liberate yourself, right? So it's about having the experience, not just reading about it, right? This is how I get through my block, and reading about it. It just stays in the mental. It's not real, right? It gets encoded in your subtle body, right? Your subtle body. So then it's real. Once you have the experience, then it's real, and you won't attract it again through your aura, right? So we have to play these things out in the external. I mean, myself, sometimes I think, like, how did I get into this situation? This experience, it's so bizarre. And then a week later or something, somebody will come to me and they'll have the exact same problem that I had, like even a week ago, short as a week ago. And it's like, oh, I've been through this. Here's my guidance, right? And I'm able to share. This is what I learned, and this is my guidance for you. Why don't you try this? And then they get through the block, and it's like, oh God, the divine used me again to have this experience. And it might be just to share with others, what you're learning, especially if you're a 3rd line and a 6th line profile too, right? So challenges build your character. They're about you evolving and growing as a soul and remembering why you're here. And you're greater than these problems and these blocks, to not get trapped there. Because really the block is in your mind. The block is in the mind. And the block is in the emotional body. So sometimes you're being called to stretch, let go of a belief system maybe that you've inherited from your ancestors that needs to be transcended and transmuted. And we'll know when we're in a limiting belief system when we come across a block like that. These are like the rock in a hard place block. Okay. So what the gate that really ties in with this is this 29. Okay. Let me go the 29. It's right there. The 29. And this is the shadow of half-heartedness, and it's the gift of commitment. And so I'll go into this in a second. It can be either postponement or overcommitted. So this channel right here is the channel. And this is coming from the sacral, that pink square. And then this is the G center. This is your identity and sense of self, the yellow. So these two form a channel right here. And this is the channel of discovery. It's a channel of discovery. So if you have this channel, you'll know this. It's like you're thrust in these experiences and you don't understand, why am I in this, until after you're done. After you're done, then you get the gift. And this often happens with our challenges. The wisdom comes after we move through the challenge. So it's the channel of discovery, meaning that you get all the wisdom looking back. Hindsight, right, is 2020. So when you're in it, you just have to say yes, right? With this channel, I'm saying yes to this experience. And if you try to shirk on it, I'm not into this, right? It's making me uncomfortable. That's the ego. It's making me uncomfortable. I got to follow my bliss, right? Which means avoid your spiritual lessons. When you're avoiding and when you have to let go. There's a difference. Well, you'll know because you'll get the same lesson over and over again, right? So you leave that relationship that's really challenging, that's maybe teaching you about your own self-value and to stand up for yourself and finally say no in this lifetime. No, I have a boundary here. I'm done with you. Bye-bye. Right? But if you try to avoid that, I don't want to confront because it brings up so much fear, right? Or spiritual lessons. Well, you're going to attract someone just like him. He'll have a different name, right? Maybe he's like from a different country or something, a different place, but it's the same frequency. You can't escape your lessons. Like, good luck trying to escape your spiritual lessons, because the frequency's inside you, right? The soul wants to be whole again, and you have to let go of all these fragments that aren't you. This is about being your authentic self in this lifetime. It's the only thing that will work. Nothing else will work. Okay, so this shadow with the 29 here is really important, because remember I talked about the 30 there, the 30, and that's connected to Saturn. So I just did a whole live stream on Saturn retrograde through the signs. So be sure to watch that, because the 30 and the 29 they're called programming partners. So they work together, this 29 and the 30. Okay. And so the 29 is interesting, because this is my chart. And you can see, I know that very well, this 29. Right up here, and that's in my unconscious sun. So the red is the unconscious, the black is the personality. So remember I talked about in the Saturn retrograde video, that 30 in the unconscious sun position, that's what you've inherited from your father. And I talked about my father. Well, go watch that video if you haven't watched it, and how it's going to apply to you in these next 4 months. Well, the 29 is in the earth. That's the unconscious earth position. So this is what you've inherited from your mother, right? This half shadow of half-heartedness. So I know it really well. In wherever this is, whatever number you've got there, and then the point 1 to 6 is really important. This has to do with your purpose. So it's not necessarily, it doesn't describe your job and this is what I'm going to do. It's the quality. It's the quality that you need to do your soul purpose. So this 29 is showing what? That you have to be committed, right? You have to be committed. The commitment is really key to do your soul purpose in this lifetime. And boy, have I been tested on commitment, like so many times wanting to give up with this. And half-heartedness, how my shadow works with half-heartedness is just get a job, right? Get a job. Get a job where you can just hide, right? Just be a cog in the wheel, under the radar. That's the half-heartedness, and that's appeals to my shadow. I can go on automatic. I can go back to sleep. I don't, JOBs don't really call for you to be fully present. Like what I do, it's me, right? I can't just go on automatic because I'm working with people. And I feel like the divine is like completely tricked me into what I do now, So, so in my personal experience, I got tested with commitment. So there's different flavors of this commitment, okay? We'll go back to here. There's different, right? There's the postponement and the overcommitment. So half-heartedness, let's just talk a little bit about this shadow. Half-heartedness, and remember these shadows are in our DNA, right? I've inherited this from my mother. And I remember that, like that feeling of she's not present, like she would just tune out, because she's expressing my shadow too for me. Often a parent will express your shadow patterns for you, and she wasn't present and she wouldn't tune out, and she'd be tuned out and she didn't really listen to me. She just wasn't there, right? Most times she just wasn't there to me, but she's expressing the shadow. So an example of the half-heartedness is like me, like I just want to get a job. I want a plan B, right? So that was always the shadow. Well, I could always get a job, right? Just be like everybody else. And another example of, you think of commitment, right? You think of like marriage. That's a perfect example of commitment that in our culture. Well, half-heartedness would be like the prenuptial agreement, you know? It's right there's the shadow. It's like the half-heartedness. I'm not really in, right? I'm not really in because I have this safety net, you know? Well, if it doesn't work out, then she's not going to get my money, you know? Prenuptials. And this is just in the fabric of our society now. I mean, we're not taught to value commitment in the gift sense of the word. So that would be an example of half-heartedness. And I remember having a friend in Canada, and I went over to his place to hang out, and he was living with his girlfriend. And I said, "What's the suitcase?" There was a suitcase by the door. And he said, "Well, that's my girlfriend's suitcase. And it's all packed with stuff. And it's to remind me that she could go at any second." Right? That he would stay on his game. Right? So that's like another example of the shadow of half-heartedness. You know? Like I'm not fully there. I'm not fully in. I'm not fully committed. This half-heartedness. So it's really about not being full. It's the opposite of commitment, you know? So the opposite of commitment is not, I mean, the real commitment is the commitment to the present moment, okay? The commitment to the present moment. And so this ties in with, well, let's just do the shadow. Keep going with the shadow here. So postponement. So this is like postponing making decisions. So you're getting the desires, because it's the programming partner is the 30. Remember the 30 down there? That's Saturn. So Saturn is really teaching us about our desires now. Are they really coming from our soul, or are they coming from our egos? Or are we taking on desires that aren't even ours, right? They're from out here, the external, from our parents, or what society tells us we should desire. Right? So we're getting really clear on what's coming from the soul and what's not. This discernment, right? Saturn retrograde is teaching us, and it's going to apply to a certain area of your life. So go watch that video if you haven't. So the half-heartedness is not trusting those desires. And that soul desire, how you know it's a soul desire? Is like you cannot get rid of it. No matter what you do, it's there. And so people try to repress self in your life. That's a life force energy. The soul has come into this incarnation with desires that are real. They're real desires, and they're very, very powerful. And those desires are taking you to happiness. They're taking you to happiness and fulfillment, these desires. The soul knows what makes you happy. It's the mind that questions it, right? Because it's like, well, how's that going to work? How are you going to support yourself? And then the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? And the mind tries to talk us out of those desires. So this is postponing. You know, you're getting that, the intuitive messages, you know, at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. That's always, you know, when you're waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., your soul wants your attention. I got something to say to you, right? Because this is when the field is a lot clearer. There's I'll talk about that maybe in another video, the Amrit Vela. It's a special time. It's 4 a.m. till 6:30 a.m. before sunrise. Do it in 2.5 hours before sunrise. So this is the postponing. Right? Because there's a fear there. Well, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I make a mistake? What if this happens and that happens? Right? So this is the shadow. That means you're under the shadow. Or the other thing, so you won't commit. Your soul desires is coming in strong. You're getting the intuitive messages. This is where I need to go. Right? But you postpone thinking that, I'll be safe. That's what the ego tells you. The shadow tells you. You'll be safe if you just put it off. Tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Right? Tomorrow never comes. And then the other flavor, because there's always two flavors to the shadow, is overcommitted. So committing to things that are dead. You know, it's like a banana, you know, an overripe banana. It's all black and it's got fruit flies all over it. You know, it's dead. It's gone. There's no energy there anymore. Do you go and eat that no, you don't eat dead things, like that. This is the overcommitted. So trying to cling on to something that's gone, right? Like that channel of discovery here, right? You've already learned the lesson. You got the lesson, right? In relationship or job or place of living, you already got it, right? So this is the overcommitted, not letting go of something that's dead. And you can feel it. Your intuition will let you know this is dead. There's nothing here for you anymore because you've changed. It's like, when you grow up from a child to a teenager and you're trying to wear clothes that you wore when you were a child, it's uncomfortable, isn't it? Right? It's like, it's too small. It's too small. I feel constrained. That's the same thing. Energetically, you're growing, right? You're growing. So, of course, because we're going through so much transition for the Aquarian age and so many lessons and spiritual lessons, and our evolution is really speeding up, that there needs to be that time to grieve, to let go. So you give yourself that, like grieving, right? I thought that I would always be with this person, and that they would change, and we'd have our happily ever after, whatever. And life is like, no, you're being called to go somewhere else now. So it's really about grieving the dreams that we had, right? So you'll know. So this is what the shadow is really, or the gift here, is what are you committing to? Like really look at what you're committing to in your life. Is it alive? Is it alive? And the soul, the desires will let you know, oh, there's a lot to learn here. I can feel my soul is really bringing me over here, right, to somewhere new. And it's usually something that you haven't, dealt with before. That's where the fear comes up with this half-heartedness. So if we go back to there's a way through every block as a sutra on this half-heartedness, well, you got to commit. You can start right with your type. Start with your type, your human design type. Commit to your type. Don't listen to me. Don't take my word for it. You've got to have your own experience, your own direct experience. It's like, okay, I'm gonna commit to. If I'm a projector, I'm going to commit to waiting for the invitation. If I'm a generator, I'm going to commit to responding with yes or no with my navel. If I'm a manifester, I'm going to commit to initiate those divine inspirations that come to me, right? The reflector, I'm going to commit to waiting a moon cycle before I make any big decisions. I'm going to value myself. There's a good commitment. I'm going to commit to valuing myself. I'm going to commit to my heart, the wisdom of my heart, right? I'm going to commit to my soul. I'm going to commit to my intuition. I'm not going to listen to my mind and what I should do and what I shouldn't do. These are good commitments. And the commitment will take you through your challenges. The commitment will take you through the block. So I visualize it as like a golden cord, right? That's attached to your navel, this golden cord, and it's pulling you, right? That's the commitment. It's pulling you through these blocks and these challenges. And it's just staying committed. It's committed to being in the present moment. That's what it really is. Half-heartedness is like you're thinking about the future. You're thinking, oh, this could happen because this happened in the past. You're not present. You're not present. You're in your mind. That's not being present. Being present is your consciousness is fully in the physical form, right? You're in your heart. You're feeling your heart. You're listening to your intuition. That's what's going to get you through. So often, too, with the shadow of half-heartedness and postponing and overcommitting, there's an image. Remember the ego? The ego creates a self-image, and you believe that that's you, right? So there's a self-image that you have of yourself, and this is the ego will come in and like, well, that's not me. My soul desires calling me over there, but that's not really me. This is self-concepts, right? This isn't me. I'm this. and my life should be this way. My life, we do it with age too. Like I should be here, I should be at this point in my life because I'm this age. Like things like that, right? That's also the shadow of half-heartedness. Let me just look at some comments. I feel like there's more, but I want to keep this show on the road here. And we'll do some cards too. Okay. This up here. So you can see this is really important with the Saturn retrograde work. As the 29 comes along, are you going to commit to this soul desire that's taking you to your true happiness and fulfillment? Or are you going to fight it with the half-heartedness and stay the same? Okay. Captain Zerk. That looks like Spock. I can't do that. Genetically not able to do that. That's actually a mudra, Kundalini yoga and meditation. Shaima, maybe. Sorry. California, M. Bain, Satnam, and C.A. Patterson from Connecticut. Jamie Withrow. Thank yous. Greetings. Okay. M. Baines is a projector. Yeah, it's rainy and cold here too, Jen Goodwin. We've been having some crazy weather. Projector here, M. Baines. Been a minute, but I caught up on the videos prior. A few powerful times to choose to be here on the planet. Saturn is returning for the first time in my chart. So are you going through your first Saturn return? Is that what you're talking about? Manifesting generator 6-2. So that's important for you to have information. You don't look like you're close to 50 by your picture, but you go through 3 developmental stages. The 6 lines are the role models for the Aquarian age. They're here to teach us how to transition into this new age. Okay. Generator. Jamie's a generator. Okay. C. Van Wade says, do generators have to wait to respond the same as projectors? Yeah. But you know, we're always jealous of the other types. But the generators, they don't need to be invited. They don't need to be recognized and invited. They just respond in opportunities because their auras are so open and enveloping that they attract. Your aura is attracting. Like work and relationships are really important for you too as generators. So you're responding with a yes or no of this work. And everybody wants the generators, right? Because if you look down here, that's the sacral. So manifestors, reflectors, and projectors, we don't have this defined. So it doesn't mean that we don't have any energy, but we don't have the energy that the generators have. So everybody's trying to get the generators because you're the builders and creators of the earth, right? Nothing. We'd probably be still living in trees, right, if the projectors were in charge. So so that's what I feel like is going on now. There's this power grab, right? And the generators and manifesting generators, they're alchemizing the archetype of the slave, that somebody else owns your energy, basically, and that they're going to use it to their ends, you know? And so the generators, that's what I feel a big spiritual lesson for the generators and manifesting generators is self-value. It's like, no, you don't have access to my energy, right? You can't just take my energy and tell me that this is the way that I'm going to use it, right? All that has to change. So yeah, you respond with a yes or no, especially with work. So if you're a generator and you know, if your sacral saying no to this job, but your mind is like, I got bills to pay. FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. That's where the mind comes in. It's like, you got to take this job. And it will come up with a lot of excuses, the ego and the mind. It's like, well, you just do it for a while and then you can do what you really want. What you really want never happens. Look at the people that retire, waiting for retirement. These are the generators, manifesting generators. Life will be so great when I'm retired and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then they retire and they're dead within like a couple years, right? Because they're so exhausted from not using their energy properly in terms of their work. It's like, why wait? This is the postponement, the shadow of half-heartedness, postponing your happiness and your joy in your life, you know? So same with relationships too. And so it's about trusting, right? Commitment is about trusting how you're designed, trusting your heart, trusting your navel, generators and manifesting generators, this is how you're designed, right? To move through time and space. Okay. And Baines makes more sense as you teach. Yeah, I've been really called to share more about human design. Oh, well, the shadow, Jen Goodwin, is half-heartedness. That's the official one, but it comes in 2 flavors, postponement and overcommitted, okay? Okay. Now this is in how saying yes can be confused with overcommitment. Okay. It looks like a question. How saying yes can be confused with overcommitment. Yeah. Well, you got to go to your strategy, right? Like whatever type you are, that's a way to use that. And it's making sure that you're not coming from your mind. Remember, the Aquarian age is all about frequency. So we're being sensitized to frequency. The empaths already know this, you know, being more sensitive to energy. And you can feel when an energy is dropping and going away. I can feel it in relationships, right? Certain relationships are coming to an end and you can feel there's no charge there anymore. There's no energy there anymore. So it's really becoming sensitive and listening to your intuition, not your mind. Because your mind wants to cling to things because it's the fear of the unknown. So commitment is knowing, you know, if I commit to this, right, I've commit to following my heart, basically following my intuition, that I'll deal with the future when it comes, right? That's the fear of the present moment. Well, what will happen next week or the week after? The mind wants all these guarantees. And then you have to like, no, I'll be taken care of in the future moment, whatever the future now moment. So that's true happiness, right? True happiness is like, I have no future. I have no future. I'm just in the present moment. And then you're on the fool's journey, right? You're on this great adventure. This is what we're here for on this planet. So the future will take care of itself. That's the gift of commitment. And I'm a testament to that. I've been on a crazy, since 2012, crazy fool's journey, and everything. I couldn't have planned this out, my life from 2012 on. I mean, from the beginning and on. But as soon as you let go, the divine supports you, right? The divine supports you 100%. Yeah. So she says, I so wanted to go back to 9 to 5 this week, and I'm not going to. Yeah, because you've already been, you can't go across the river twice, right? You're in the new. You're in the new. This is what we all have to start embracing for the Aquarian age. It's like it's in the new, and that means we can't use the mind because the mind is all about the past, what it worked in the past. And who wants to go back, right? It's like you're in grade 2, right? You're in grade 2 and you graduated, you got all the lessons, and then you're promoted to grade 3 and you're trying to get into that grade 2 again, that grade 2 classroom. And the teacher's like, get out of here. You already passed. It's time for you to learn something new. So it's about trusting in yourself too, right? Believing in yourself. Yeah, no going back. C.A. Patterson, how does 29.5 translate from the human design right side personality for a manifester? Well, you're about commitment too, but you're a fifth line. The fifth lines are all about leaders, leadership, and fixers. They fix things. So it's about committing, not getting half-hearted. The fifth line attracts, how that works, everybody, is this. Where am I? Okay. So there's me, right? I'm a 2-4 hermit. Totally a hermit. Hermit opportunist there. 2-4. So what she's talking about is she's got the, where I have the 8-2, CA pattern's got the 29.5. So this is the profile. This is going to be my next batch of recorded readings. I'm going to go more into depth for people and do their incarnation cross and profiles and things like that. I just got to move forward on it. So she's got the 29.5 and she's a manifester, right? So her profile, I don't know what's on the other side. I can't remember, but you're the fixer. So this is your soul essence. So mine is uniqueness, right? As an 8, I'm here to be unique. I'm here to be a creative role model. I've got that 1-8. For people, and it's not like I'm better, like people are, it's not about putting me on a pedestal. It's more like an empowerment, like, oh, I can do what Michael does, right, in my own way, right? So I empower people to be themselves, basically. Hopefully I'm doing a good job at that. I think I am. So she's got the 0.5, right? So she's the heretic, and I forget what you have on the other side. So it's about committing, C.A. Patterson, committing to your divine inspiration that's leading you to initiate something, right? They're the pioneers. The manifestors are the pioneers, and we're all waiting for the manifestors. Like, get off your ass, get off your couch and initiate something, right? That's how it works. I can't initiate, right? The generators can't initiate. The reflectors can't. We're all waiting for those manifestors. Like, get on it. Start taking action. You'll be supported. The only thing stopping you is yourself and your ego and your mind from initiating. And it's going to be something new because it's coming from the divine, right? So it's like, it's just trusting your type. I just have to tell people, this is what I'm up to. This is what I'm going to do. You initiate, you take action. You got all the support come. The resources come, the money comes, the people come, everything comes, right? So that's what you have to do. So what's stopping you is this half-heartedness. Well, the divine inspiration, that doesn't make any sense. Was that really real? You don't trust it, right? You don't trust it. Okay. Oh, we got a reflector on the line here. That's 1%. Jana, Liz, as a reflector, so many opportunities and challenges. What's so great about reflectors is they've got the Teflon aura, right? You've got the Teflon aura. That means like nothing can touch you. You're sampling. You can sample people, right? Projectors really we've got the focused aura. We got the laser beam eyes, right? We see right through people. You can't hide things from an awake projector. But we really take that person in deeply, you know? But, which has its blessing and curse, of course. But Jana, you just sample. You take little samples. You know, at Costco, you sample all the food, right? You can do that with people, but you don't take them on, right? You don't take them on at all. Yeah. Okay. So let's do some cards here. And I'll talk about the live stream on Saturday. That's coming. That's going to be... Okay. So half-heartedness is the wishy-washy. You don't want to be wishy-washy. There's a way through every block, your challenges. So whatever your challenges are happening now, know that there's a way through the block, but it's vertical. And it's very creative. So it's half-heartedness is about going belly up. Like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Whatever your ego is telling you. I can't even read my writing here. Okay. So just, oh, I know, I need to tell a story. So back to this invitation thing for the projector, right? You've got to be, the projectors, you've got to be invited to a place to live, a career, a job, a romantic partnership, and deep friendship. Those are the big ones. You need to be recognized. And if you're in the wrong group, it's not good. And the thing is, this is for everybody. You become the 5 people you hang out with. Like, that's true. You become whoever, the frequency of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, especially intimate partners, you become them. You take on their frequency. So it's really important in this time, and especially if you've got an open sacral, like projectors have an open sacral, manifestors have an open sacral, and reflectors have an open sacral, right? You're taking in that energy of that other person. So you want to know who is around you. What's your soul desire saying? Get out of this. If they're saying get out of this energy, it's not good for you, then get out, right? Like, really start listening and committing to your intuition. Like, start walking the talk, right? It's time to start walking the talk. This is the age of experience. It's not about, I'm just going to be spiritual on the weekends. It's like spiritual 24/7 now, you know? So in terms of invitations, because you can get to kind of I notice that with projectors, it's got to be, you got to get the card and that kind of invitation and RSVP and all that stuff. You've got to you're also invited by not just people, but the divine. So in my experience in 2017, my sole desire was to move to Hawaii, move to Maui in particular. Because astrocartography, this is the second place, the best place for me to be on the planet, that I'm aligned with my soul purpose. So that was in my mind, and then it's like, well, I've been at this since 2004, this projector thing, and if I go against my type and my strategy, everything just blows up. And I was like, well, my mind was like, well, how is this all going to work? I don't know a soul on Maui or Hawaii, for that matter. So I just left it. It's like, okay, I have this soul desire. I'm just going to give it to the universe, you know? And so that night I had a dream. So I think I said this to you before. I'm a lucid dreamer. So that means I have garbage dreams. That's when the subconscious is just working through things in the dream world. These are more visitations, right? I know the difference between a visitation and garbage dreams. So anyway, I was in this, on the bottom of the ocean, and I knew Maui was just above me, right? Or beside me. So I'm at the bottom of the ocean, and I'm in a hotel, and it's surrounded by glass, right? Surrounded by glass. And all of a sudden, this huge swarm of turtles, I don't know what the collective noun is for turtles, but this huge school or whatever of turtles, sea turtles, you know, they're huge, right? If you've ever seen any. So they're swimming, and they stop, and then they look at me, like looking at them, and that we could communicate, and they could communicate to me, and all of them in unison were like, aloha, please come to Maui, please, please, please come to Maui, they kept saying. So I woke up the next day, and that was my invitation. I felt like that was my invitation. And when I arrived here, the energy was just flowed, you know, everything just worked out. There were synchronicities, like it was so easy to settle here. And many people go through a hard time. They get kicked off this island, you know, if you're not supposed to be here. So that would be an example for a projector, that you can receive that invitation in a divine way too, right? The turtles invited me here. Okay, so let's do some cards for the people that are here. Okay. For there's a way through every block. So just committing to this teaching, you can start right there. I'm going to commit to this. I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to listen to my ego and my mind saying that there's no way. There's no way to get through this challenge. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can, another thing too, especially if you're a non-energy type, the projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, is that you have to sleep on your own. You know, not all the time, right? If you have a partner. Because we're most conditioned, we're more horizontal and sleeping. We're conditioned by that other person that we're sleeping next to. We actually have their dreams. We can be in their dream world. I remember when I was married, when human design came in, and we did that. Not all the time. But when we started sleeping apart, I slept for like 12 hours at a time, sometimes 14 for a week, because I was feeling how exhausted I was, right? My wife was a manifesting generator. They're like busy, even in their dream world. So that would be a good idea. This is to really get more in touch with your authentic self. It's like spend some time sleeping alone in your own bed, in your own room. Even in your own room, even if you're in an apartment building, you've got to look at well, my aura is 9 feet. Is it overlapping with that other person's aura? That's maybe their bedroom is side by side yours. You'll be conditioned there too, right? You want 9 feet of clear auric space so you can feel yourself. Okay, so what do the people need to hear? What's the ego saying about commitment and half-heartedness? Okay. So it's failure. You can see that's failure. So that's a person in his room, like in the fetal position, right? Defeated, like feeling defeated. And then it comes with the 9 of Swords, right? In the tarot. So this is the dark night of the soul, right? The 9 of Swords. You can see that person like up at night, and swords are the mind, right? So this is all saying that the shadow, the way through every block, that's right, is to let this go. Using the mind, getting up in the head. Because the mind's just going to take you back and forth. You're not going to get any clear answers when you're using your mind to get through any blocks and challenges in your life. And the root of it is the ego telling you that you're a failure. If you even try. This is what remember as children, like I remember as a child, you would just try things. You were adventurous, you know? Look at how adventurous we were as children. And I remember seeing my little nephew, he was 2, and he was taking his first step. And watching him take his first step, right? And he's got he's upright, and he's putting that leg out for the first time, and trusting that foot is going to land on the ground, right? Like it takes so much trust. And this is what we're like little children in the Aquarian age now. We've got to We have to trust. We have to make that leap of faith that our foot's going to land on the ground. We're going to land okay, right? We're going to be okay. And not listening to this. This is the mind and the ego. You're a failure if you make a mistake, right? You know when you're a failure is when you don't even try, right? You just live on the radar, under the radar. Everybody else is on the main stage. You're sitting in the audience, right? You're in the bleachers, just watching everybody else live their life. That's the failure. That's the true failure. That's the failure of the soul. You've come down here to have experiences, you know? So, and to participate in your life, not to listen to this nonsense, right? Because underneath that failure is shame. Right? That's shame. So it's really about getting to the emotions. Remember, this is all about we're evolving through the emotional body and feeling the emotional content that's coming up with even the thought of like, I'm going to follow my soul desire. I'm going to follow it. What comes up for you? Usually fear, that's normal. Don't let it stop you. There could be shame. The mind and ego. Well, you're going to be a failure, right? If you do this and you fail and you're not able to support yourself, right? People will start judging you. Your family will judge you that you're a failure, right? If you want to start your own business or whatever, something like that, will hold you back from your soul desire, and it's not real. It's worm tongue. Right? That's in your ear telling you you're a failure or you're going to be a failure, right? And then this is the anxiety, right? It's the anxiety card. So it's really saying the failure is coming from your mind. It's not coming from your soul. Your first right, this is divine right of the soul, is success. That's your first right. That's your divine right. Your second right as a soul is failure. That's your second right. So you get to choose. Am I going to choose success, following my soul, or I'm going to choose failure, which is following the ego, listening to the ego? You know, our whole paradigm around success and failure is so warped because it's a success according to the ego. I have all this money and material wealth. I've got this, you know, blonde Barbie on my arm, the trophy partner. I've got the amazing, you know, male version of that. Look what he does and look how much money he makes. And it's all about success according to the ego. But you talk to people who are successful in that way, they're deeply unhappy. I know many wealthy people are here on this island and they're unhappy, you know? Not all of them. But the ones that chase the money and the dollar, they're unhappy, right? That's true failure. Is chasing the wrong thing, right? We got to start chasing our soul. We got to start chasing love, right? It's get to God and everything gets to you. That's how it works. Follow love and everything will follow you. Everything's inverted now. We're chasing power. We're chasing money. We're really chasing fear. And it's just about building up this ego, right? Okay, so let's see what the gift is. So committing to success. I'm going to follow my soul. Michael said, right? These are in the scriptures. Your first right is success as a soul. It's your divine right. If you follow your soul, you're a success. In the real sense of the word. Which right is peace and successful and surprise and fulfillment, all those aura types. Okay. And what's the gift under this for people that are listening, people that will listen to it in the future? What's the gift? Okay. So that's interesting. So we've got failure, and then we've got sanctuary. And you can see that person with the heart, right? The heart. And there's a temple within the heart. It always reminds me of the Golden Temple there. So that's our true sanctuary. Because really what we're looking for with the half-heartedness is we're looking to belong somewhere. And if you actually explore this and go deep within, we know that we're tourists here. We know that we're a tourist here on this earth. This isn't truly our home, right? Our home is the infinite, and we're here for a brief time. And some of us have been here a long time. The old souls, right, have been here a long time. But this is showing us that our true home is really in our hearts. That's our true home. That's what we're really seeking, is this sense of belonging, and this sense of home, that people don't have this sense of home. And this, when we're not in our hearts, then we're subject to this, the ego, right? Guiding us, looking to our ego for guidance, right? And the ego is a bad, like the worst life coach in the world is your ego. To stop listening to that and start listening to your heart. Like, make your heart your home. Wherever you go, you're in your heart. That's what the Aquarian age is calling us to do, And according to the heart, you're not a failure. Your heart will never speak to you like that. Your soul will never speak to you like that, judging you and being harsh. Your soul's not going to do that. Even if you make a mistake in your life, right? The soul will never speak to you in that harsh language. It will be a loving, compassionate, like imagine a loving, compassionate mother or father, how you would be spoken in that way. Like you made a mistake. Now it's time to correct yourself, make amends, right? Atone for this, but it's not like judgmental like the ego is. Yeah. So that's your true sanctuary. So you don't need to go to a temple or a church. That's what this is saying. Your temple is you, right? Your temple is your body. It's your heart. That's your true temple. And it's very, very sacred, like you're a sacred being. Okay, so you want to get rid of these people that are parroting your ego, because that's how it works. People on the outside that are being cruel to us, they're actually just being parrots to how we talk to ourselves, right? And once you start really talking to yourself in a loving way, then those people will disappear, right? They have to. The mirror has to shift. Okay. So that's what I got to say about that. Okay. Yeah, shame and guilt. It's one of the 6 primal wounds. Okay. I know C.A. Patterson's I always needed a separate bed. Me too. When I would move in, like, I haven't had many relationships, but they've been deep, right, and long term, most of them. And that would always be my rule, right? It's like I need to have my own room. Definitely need to have my own room. So I think it's healthy for everybody to have their own room. Okay. So on Saturday, there's going to be a live stream, and it's going to be on the full moon. That's on the 14th. And this is an important one because it's connected to the galactic center of the universe. So the galactic center is a big part of this evolutionary energy that's coming in through our solar sun, that's penetrating the electromagnetic field of the earth and us, and releasing all these ancestral memories in the emotional body, right? And we're seeing that on the external. So this is the full moon is actually in the gate that is aligned with, which is the 11. It's 27.5 degrees Sagittarius. So that to me is showing that this is a huge, big deal for us, this full moon. So we'll be going through the signs, right? All the signs. So you want your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign, and go through each one. And the other thing too to mention is in 2012, why 2012 was such a big deal. It was the first time that the Earth was in alignment with the galactic center, right? So that, I mean, think of back to 2012, you're probably a completely different person, what you've been going through. I'm completely different than I was pre-2012, right? So what I want to say is it's just about commitment, right? Just try it. Have the experience, right, for yourself. And then it's real. You're not just riding on me and what I have to say. It's like, this is how I always approached spirituality and teachings. I can't just buy it, hook, line, and sinker. I need to like test it. I need to test it out. So then it would be, okay, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to have the experience. And if it rings true or not for me, you have to determine that for yourself, right? But at least try. Like, don't go into this. Well, what if I fail? Well, you learned. There's no such thing as failure. Really. You learned. I learned something about myself and life and how I operate. It's all about you learning about you, especially if you're a generator and manifesting generator. You need to learn about yourself. Know thyself, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'll see you on Saturday, and it will probably be around the same time. The 1:30 really works for me and my routine. Okay? So have a great day or evening wherever you are, and thank you for showing up and committing to show up as yourself. That's the other commitment. I'm going to commit to be just showing up as myself, the wounded warrior one day, the ecstatic mystic the other day, whatever is authentic to you, right? It's about committing to showing up as yourself. That's all the universe wants from you, is to just be yourself. Okay? So have a great day, evening. Sat Nam Aloha.